Alrighty, it's time to check how many submissions I got for the DISVENTURE Camp Season 4 Hot Takes video. I wonder how many I...
Oh, hell no!
So, yeah, roughly a week ago, as of scripting this video, I made a post asking you all to leave some of your DISVENTURE Camp Season 4 hot takes for a video, and you guys definitely didn't disappoint. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some of these hot takes and giving my thoughts on them. Also, quick disclaimer, I will not be able to cover every comment I got in this video, as I got almost 80, and if I were to go through all of them, this video would easily be over an hour long, and I don't really have time to do that right now. Anyways, a first hot take is from Nathan, who says, Richard should have been eliminated in episode 4. I respectfully disagree. Now don't get me wrong, I like Ted and all, but it doesn't really make sense from a narrative or in universe perspective to boot Richard over him this episode, as at this point, the Girls' Alliance had zero reason to boot anybody but Ted. They just made an alliance with Logan, we're trying to have an alliance with Linda, and Richard didn't really do anything to negatively affect them, so they wouldn't have a reason to attempt to take him out. And while I do like Ted, he was doing himself no favors, considering he was the main person organizing against the Girls' Alliance and wasn't that popular. So yeah, I disagree with this take, as it would just be blatant plot armor for Ted to survive this. Logan and Tristan should have been friends on the same team. I don't really know how you could make this work team-wise due to the imbalance, but I do agree with this, as I feel like Logan and Tristan could have a dynamic if they were to be paired up. Benji should have returned over Marissa, as he was suspicious of Jade and would have helped in actually posing a threat to her game. Now, I really like Benji, he's easily in my top 5 favorite characters this season, but in my opinion he shouldn't have returned. Not even getting into the fact this would have made his elimination completely pointless, as he got OT 2 episodes before the comeback, but also him returning would undo Hannah's arc and development, which I don't think would be a good idea. And considering it was shown in episode 16 that Benji and Jade were on better terms, I don't think bringing him back just to screw over Jade would make all that much sense. If Ted rejoined, it still wouldn't have been interesting. Marissa and Emily were the best choices. Now, I do agree with Marissa and Emily being better returnee options over Ted, but I don't think Ted returning would have been necessarily boring, as he does have stuff to work off and some potential dynamics with other characters. But overall though, I do for the most part agree that Emily and Marissa were the better choices for the comeback. I don't feel this way anymore, but before the music episode, I found Benji annoying as shit and wanted him gone. I kind of agree now. I didn't hate Benji before the music episode, but he was definitely at the bottom half of my tier list for a while. And he wasn't as good as he was in the later half of pre-merge and early merge. Anastasia has more plot armor than Rhea and Heather, and it isn't even justified. She's not the main villain and her arc has been over. And Emily is overrated. I'm not really sure why people like her. Definitely disagree. Now, don't get me wrong, Anastasia has a shitload of plot armor, especially in episode 19. But like, objectively speaking, Heather and Rhea definitely have more plot armor. Especially Heather, as there was multiple times in Ireland where she should have been eliminated, but didn't get out due to unexplained reason and poorly thought out twists. And I don't think I need to explain why Rhea has plot armor in All Stars, as I would be effectively beating a dead horse. And for Emily being overrated, sort of agree, but I do still like her. Ted is the worst character. All his appeal is about his potential arca, something he canonically isn't. I do for the most part agree with this take, but I wouldn't say Ted's is the worst or a bad character. I just think he is overrated as fuck. Ivy is the worst character in DC4. I think I've already made my opinions on Ivy pretty clear in my shorts and video, so yeah, I obviously hard disagree with this take. Emily honestly is not good at all, especially after the most recent episode. She's just been a plot device to Element about the person Hannah has become, and even expected her to help her when she was knocked down, even though Logan was sprinting to the finish and she wouldn't have won anyways. I've already talked about how I feel about Emily a bit earlier, so I'm going to be covering the second part and how you are technically wrong. As if you look closet at the footage in episode 19, Logan didn't have his flag with him while he was running, so even if he crossed the finish line, he wouldn't have won, which means Hannah technically could have helped Emily without having to worry about Logan winning. I personally liked the Diego and Spencer plotline because it humanizes Spencer and shows his weaknesses and insecurities. If this plotline didn't exist, Spencer would more likely end up as a typical arrogant nerd with little extra quality to his character. I sort of agree. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest fan of how Dinosaur was executed, but I do agree that if it didn't exist, Spencer probably wouldn't be as complex or have as much depth to him without it. So I do think adding in this plotline was a good idea. I just wish the writing behind it was better. There never should have been a comeback. Marissa's plotline could have been resolved in an eliminated contestants episode near the end of the season. And Amelie's plot so far has been building up. Hannah and I feel like Amelie will be eliminated very soon as it's been heavily foreshadowed. I disagree, not only because I think Amelie and Marisa's were good returnees and were good add-ons, but also because the comeback was necessary for the season from a production standpoint. Season 4 is a 26-episode season with an 18-person cast, so unless the season after episode 16 was stacked with non-elimination episodes, which is something I doubted Nation cartoons would want to do, a comeback had to happen, as if it didn't happen. Season 4 would only have 24 episodes instead of the 26-odd Nation cartoons had planned. Hannah is the most overrated character of DC4. Besides her crazy plot armor, she based all of her personality on her friend's loss. Like, it's not that deep, you can meet them when the season is out, plus Hannah's interactions with other characters are so forced. After she started her friendship with Tristan, they got eliminated so that Hannah could hate on Spencer more. That was so forced and cringe. Casually, when Anastasia was talking to Marissa about her voting for Jade, Hannah was walking near them and heard everything they said. That was so forced too. Emily comeback was so unnecessary, and Hannah slowly becoming a villain doesn't just make sense. But after all, I think that Hannah will be the winner of the series, cause like, isn't it obvious? She has the best position in the game. I mean, I do disagree with this take, even though Hannah isn't my favorite. A lot of this respectfully seems like you're simplifying Hannah's arc to try and make it seem bad. Also, your argument for Hannah having plot armor here doesn't really make sense. Also, characters walking over to other characters talking about strategy and being able to find about what they're saying is nothing new. It's happened in almost every season in the show. It isn't forced. It's a realistic thing that happens all the time. And considering that Marisa and Anastasia were talking about their plan right outside the tent area where everybody sleeps in and stays at, it makes perfect sense for Hannah to be there and to walk out and find them. Also, a lot of what you're saying here kind of boils down to you saying things happening is unnecessary without explaining or elaborating on why it's unnecessary. Like, why is Hannah hating Spencer for voting out one of her close friends? Forced? How is Amelie returning unnecessary? And how is Hannah becoming a villain dumb? I don't really know the answers to any of these questions due to you not really explaining why you believe they're unnecessary and forced, so yeah, I disagree with this take personally. Logan and Anastasia are overrated and their flaws are widely exaggerated. I sort of agree with this take. Now, I like Anastasia a lot. And while I'm not the biggest fan of Logan, I don't hate him, but I do have to disagree that they're overrated. They have a lot of fans. Well, at least at the time of this comment. If you ask people now their thoughts on Logan, majority of the people would probably say they hate him, which I personally think is deserved due to the amount of flipping Logan has done this season, which people are rightfully going to get annoyed at. For Anastasia, I do disagree that she's overrated, as majority of the people fandom seem to like her, and majority of the criticism she gets, while I disagree with, is completely valid, as she does have a decent amount of flaws. Now, are some of them exaggerated? Yes, widely, every character in media do have flaws that get exaggerated by their headers, but in this case, majority of the flaws these two haven't exaggerated, in my opinion. Spencer deserved the in-universe hate he got. Definitely agree, Spencer easily had the worst social game of any competitor in Season 4. Sensual, like, you know you're fucked up when damn near half of the cast hates you. There shouldn't be a season that combines the DC4 and DC3 cast. Every character in DC4 seems so much more fleshed out and interesting that it makes the DC3 cast seem really one note. If you chose two characters from DC4 at random, you could probably imagine how they would interact in an actually interesting and unique way. By comparison, if you pick two characters from DC3, their interaction are either going to be nice to meet you, or I don't like you, and that's pretty much the extent of what you can do with them. I sort of agree. I do agree that the DC4 cast and DC3 cast shouldn't be combined, because at this point majority of the people in All Stars have ran their course as characters and don't need another season to compete in. But I don't entirely agree that the Season 3 cast would be extremely boring in a season where they are with the Season 4 cast, as there are a decent chunk of characters that you could potentially do something new with, such as Lake, Fior, or others. The DCS4 elimination order actually sucks. I disagree. Now don't get me wrong, the elimination order isn't perfect and there are some eliminations that I would probably switch around a bit, but I don't think it's bad in my opinion, as almost every elimination makes sense and caps out a character's arc. I think the problem with Season 4 Elimination is that as of recent episodes, the quality and execution of the eliminations have gone down, and a lot of them either have the problem of not being all that believable or the elimination itself is good, but the pick for who they decided to boot wasn't. A good example of this is episode 19, where, I am not kidding, could have been a perfect elimination if Marisa didn't get out. Linda is the most misunderstood character of entire season and best, which is shown in her elimination where of all people only Richard really cares about her and Marisa, but she was already out. It's a shame her family issues weren't further touched on. Another hot take, Linda should have won that tiebreaker or comeback challenge, as it would tie up nicely her story of losing in everything she tries. Yeah, I do agree that it would have been nice to see more than just Richard care about her in her elimination. I don't think Linda returning would be the best choice. I think the better choice would be for Linda to return for Season 5, as I think if the execution was well, she could be an amazing character, but I don't really disagree with your take. Anyways, the last take we have is from Eliminations, and they said, Episode 6 is overrated. The episode is good, but I feel like people overhyped the episode because of the musical challenge. The music was good, but I found the rest of the episode quite forgettable. I personally disagree. Now, I do agree that the episode's main highlight is the music, but the moments outside the challenge is still good, such as the ending scene with Ivy, the talk between Anastasia and Marisa, and the cliffhanger at the end with Natalia, Logan, and Richard. Anyways, I believe that's all the takes I'm going to cover today. I am sorry if I didn't react to your take. I got over 70, so I couldn't go through all of them. I might do a part 2 of this if this video does well. Anyways, that's about all I got. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting your thoughts down below. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it would really help me out. And I'll see y'all all in my next video tomorrow. Peace out. Take care. Bye bye.